Take it away, Coach.
Yeah, just really looking forward to, what's in front of us. It's proud of the girls' resiliency. Obviously, you want to go into the tournament feeling like you're playing pretty well, and I do. We beat a good Florida team, and we're right there with Tennessee, and played pretty darn well against Mississippi State on the road. So the road's been good to us this year for one reason or another. I think our girls are in a good place, and looking forward to what's in front of us. I think, all coaches would say it's a brand new season come tournament time, and records go out the window, and anybody can beat anybody. And so we just want to make sure we're in a good place and locked in and ready to go.
With that, we'll open it up for questions. Looks like first up, Andrew Kaufman, KMIZ. Take it away, Andrew.
Coach, after a couple of days, do you have any better idea of what you think you guys need to do to get into the NCAA tournament?
I don't. I'd be curious what you guys think, to be honest with you. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in this SEC tournament. LSU and Mississippi State, with LSU's net being in the 60s, does that hurt Mississippi State getting in? And again, who knows who wins that game? I mean, 50-50 right there. And, if you can get by Alabama, that's got a higher net, that certainly helps your case. And then you play a pretty high net in SEC or in South Carolina. So I really don't know. I don't know how much they're strictly going to go by the net, what the other factors are going to be. What do you think?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. But I guess to follow up on that, how good does it feel to know that there's the NCAA tournament out there for your team, especially considering everything you guys have gone through this year?
Hey, you took a page out of Coach's notebook. We just kind of slide by those questions that we don't want to answer. It's exciting. I feel, like there's still possibilities, right? And I think we're going to be a team that's going to be in postseason. I feel pretty confident about that. Now, which tournament it is, we'll have to wait and see. And again, no guarantees, but, I'm just really trying to, stay in the moment with this team. I've said this many times, every team's had their own journey through COVID. And we felt early on that this team had a really high ceiling. And, we've had some roadblocks, but we've also been, in a lot of those games. And so really proud of their ability to stay the course and the resiliency. I've said this before, there hasn't been a lot of highs and lows with this team. And I think that's good. I think this is a team that, I don't anticipate going into that conference tournament tight at all. That's just never been the mojo of this team. I think they've always been pretty confident. I think we've talked a lot about defense over the last month. And I think, I feel encouraged the way we defended Mississippi State. And so you've got to pack that with you, when you go into tournament time. I don't know. I just trying to stay in the moment and not to get too far ahead of myself. But like I said, just really proud of the girls and anxious to see what we can do in this tournament.
Eric Blum, Columbia Tribune, go ahead.
Hey, Robin, it seems like it's been a while since you guys have just kind of been on this apex of you don't know where your, stock is right now. The last few years before last year was you knew you were in. It was just a matter of where with the NCAA tournament. Last year, I think it was pretty well determined that you had to win out to get into a postseason tournament. Does it help you that, there's this kind of gray area kind of going into the tournament? Like it gives you a natural chip on your shoulder going into this tournament because there's an unknown there?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. We knew where we sat last year at this time. But no, I think it's good. I think, we've got kids that don't mind having a chip on their shoulder. I think that can really work to your advantage. And I think this time of year, coaches are constantly trying to figure out, what buttons to push and how to breathe just hope and confidence and positivity into your team of what's still out there. But at the same time, to be honest with you, I'm going to go back to the book we read this summer, and it was just chop wood, carry water, and it's just one day at a time, trying to control what you can control and make today your masterpiece and be better, be 1% better from the day before. And, I think that's my mindset going into this tournament. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I want to really focus on, the next task at hand is Alabama. And that's really the only thing that matters right now. You know, the lessons we've learned along the way, and really putting all our eggs in that basket against Alabama. That's the only thing that matters right now.
Colin O'Brien, Jeff City News Tribune, go ahead. Did we lose you, Colin?
Looks like he's frozen.
Michael Howley, we'll go to you, then maybe Colin will reconnect.
Yeah, Coach, I know you keep talking about staying in the moment, taking it one day at a time. But I'm curious, do you hear that the same thing from your players? Are they talking about net rankings? Are they talking about, you know, what happens if we beat Alabama? What happens if we beat South Carolina? Or are they really just focused on beating Alabama and then moving on from there?
Yeah, you know, probably this last month, we've talked about a couple different scenarios. Just, you know, what? Yeah, I think they're intrigued and trying to understand what that net ranking means and what that looks like, with it being the first year that women's basketball is using it. And so we've talked through, you know, a few things, but really on a surfacey level. We haven't gotten real deep with it. You know, obviously we had Monday off, so today in practice, you know, we'll get after it again. But no, there hasn't been a lot of in-depth conversations about that. There really hasn't. I think, you know, this team understands that, you know, we've got to win some more ball games. We're on the outside looking in, and we've got to take care of business. And, you know, Friday doesn't matter if you don't take care of Thursday. And so I trust that our focus will be 100% on Thursday against Alabama, a team that, you know, kind of took it to us when we played them in late December. We weren't playing great basketball. And, you know, I look back and watch that game and feel encouraged that we've come a long way from then. But that's a team that's got some veteran players that have been in this SEC for 4 years. And so, you know, they're playing for a lot too. Everybody does this time of the year.
Colin, you back and connected? Oh, he froze up again. Eric Blum.
Robin, you kind of mentioned it and alluded to it a few times here, but is that where you like it? Just not talking about anything beyond Alabama within the roster? I mean, there's obviously a ton of distractions that can go on right now, but do you like it just with the blinders on right here?
Well, I think I do. I think they need to understand big picture. I mean, I think you got to break that down to them. And like I said, we've dabbled in that. We haven't spent a lot of time on that. But I think presenting a big picture is important. But we have not talked very much about it. And I think that's important. I think, you know, no matter where you're at, 2 years ago when we were ranked as high as 11th in the country, we weren't talking about these things either. I mean, none of that matters if you don't take care of today. And, you know, I did have a conversation with one of our players, and we were talking about just this. And we said, nothing matters except Alabama. And I said, no, nothing matters except for Tuesday's practice. Like, that's where we've got to be at. And so just, again, being really mindful of the process and what needs to take place leading up to that game.
Colin, if you can hear us, the floor is yours.
Third time's a charm. You got me, Coach? Okay. The three-point shooting, I know that can sort of come and go a little bit, but I'm curious that the way you guys have shot it the past couple of games, the ball movement involved there has been good, obviously, but have you been surprised that it's been that good considering LaDeja hasn't played as much and she's someone who usually attracts help defenders inside?
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, just kind of like Mama and Shug bring two different elements to the game for us, and it's completely different feel. I think the same way with Day and Shannon, and we need both of them, just like we need Mama and Shug. But it presents a different matchup, I think, for our opponents. And you know, I think, you know, the last probably 3 games, we've caught some people off guard in regards to what that was going to look like. You know, I'm sure people were anticipating Day to be back in that lineup. And so maybe we caught him off guard a little bit. I'm sure Bama's preparing for both looks, what it looks like with Day, what it looks like with Shannon. But to me, a big part of that is just our movement away from the ball. You know, I think there's been games that I go back and watch, and Bama was one of them. We just did a lot of ball watching on the perimeter. And I think now we finally got kids understanding how important that movement is off the ball, that creates different types of rotations defensively. In addition to that, I think we've been playing with great pace. I think you've got Asia and Mama and Shug, probably the three that are able to get to the, and Troop too. Troop plays with great pace. And so their ability to get 2 feet in that paint that causes some kind of rotation defensively that starts kind of the flow of our offense. And so, I think there's a couple factors that have been involved in that. Am I surprised we've shot the ball that well? I mean, not really. I think we've got really good offensive players, kids that, knock down the shot pretty consistently in practice. I think I was more surprised in games when we didn't shoot it at a little bit higher level. You go back to Kentucky and I think we're 1 for 18. Now that would surprise me versus being able to knock down shots just because, we've got kids that's what their DNA is, their ability to knock down shots.
Andrew Kaufman.
What'd you think of Asia Blackwell and Mama Dembele getting their SEC honors today?
Yeah, great. Super happy for them. Man, I tell you what, making that first or second team in the SEC is a hard thing to do. I mean, you're looking at the toughest women's SEC from top to bottom women's basketball programs that we've had. And so to be able to make, 8 teams on that first, 8 players and 8, whew, it's a tall task. And so I think it was a great accomplishment for Asia. I think her rebounding played a very big role in that piece. And so really happy for her. Mama, with that freshman class, starting point guard in the SEC. And I think what she's able to do defensively really, has gained some respect throughout the league. And so super happy for her. We've had kind of we've had a lot of success getting some of our kids on that all SEC freshman team. And so I got to believe that just breathes confidence into her. I really thought Shug Dixon would have a chance at that 6th player of the year award. Just feel like Shug has been a game changer for us and, has the ability to do so much, especially on the offensive end for us. And so was bummed, with that one. And I think when we also nominated Day and Frankie and, 2 kids that could have, I think is well respected in the league too. But bottom line is there's only 16 spots. And so really happy for both of them. I think they'd probably tell you, it's a team award. I mean, that's just kind of where our team's at with those kind of things. And so good for our team. Great recognition.
Back to you, Colin.
Yeah, Coach, I don't know if you hit on this when I dropped out, but how much does recently seeing that athleticism and height of Tennessee kind of help you prepare to face that top line at Alabama of Uriah Copeland and Jasmine Walker?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like as you go through the SEC schedule, you're like, yes, that game is going to help prepare us for this game, and that game is going to prepare us for this game. And so, you face, a lot of different looks in the SEC, but Tennessee is just, they're in a league of their own in regards to the height and the size. They've got to be one of the biggest teams in the NCAA, I would guess. I would be shocked if they weren't. And we managed that pretty well. I was proud of our kids. We didn't do a good job on the boards for sure. But offensively, we managed it pretty well. Defensively, pretty solid until that 4th quarter. And we certainly had some hiccups and some miscommunication and then just some breakdowns. But I think all of that body of work in the SEC, because this team is a team that would go back to the locker room the next day and we'd watch film and as hard as it was to watch. And I feel like we've really tried to learn and grow from different games that we've had this year. And so I'm hoping the whole body of work throughout the conference play has prepared us to be in a better position once we get down at the conference tournament.
Tyler from KMU, last one for Coach here.
Coach, you mentioned the last time you played Alabama was almost 2 months ago. What do you think is the biggest thing that you've seen from your team in terms of the way they play that's changed that you think will give you a chance to flip the script this time around?
Well, I hope to shout we're going to be a little bit better defensively. There's a lot of breakdowns defensively, and I don't know that I would say we're a great defensive team by any stretch. I think we played pretty solid over our last couple games, excluding the 4th quarter against Tennessee and obviously at Mississippi State. And so we've got to bottle that up for sure. We've got to understand what that feels like, what that looks like, and we've got to bring that to the conference tournament with us. And nowhere close to where we were at the first time we played them. But I also think offensively, we look like we're in a much better flow. In that game against Alabama, there was a lot of standing, a lot of ball watching. I think we're still figuring out each other at that time and working through that chemistry piece because we hadn't had a lot of games under our belt. And so I just feel like we're playing with a lot better pace offensively.
All right, that'll do it for Coach today. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Hey, appreciate you guys.